Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our panelists, Mr. Pranay Chandan and Mr. Shilov Mani. Just to introduce them, mm, Mr. Shilov Mani is the president and head of business strategy at the Social Street Advertising and Marketing Agency. Experienced senior strategist with a demonstrated history of working in media production industry, skilled in digital strategy, media buying, market research, management and business development. Strong business development professional with a PGDM focused in marketing from TAFNI. We also have my friend Pranay. He is a young but experienced events and trade professional with an experience of over 10 years. He started off as a temporary support staff and is now the senior operations manager at Nürnberg Messe, managing operations of several large expos and trade events. Pranay has a dedication towards events and travel. We have two avid travelers here. Mr. Shilov Mani is a traveler with a zest to explore various exciting destinations and their hidden beauty. He has the knack of capturing the hidden gems of his destination and create exciting albums. Whereas Pranay has been dedicating his travel diaries towards showcasing budget travels with exploration of natural and historic beauty and grandeur. He often explores untouched destinations and brings out the best ways of enjoying these. He's also been spending a lot of his time on photography, sharpening his writing skills, and exploring new technologies. I have these two gentlemen here to address on a very interesting topic on how to use your travel diaries for personal branding. All of us have our travel photographs, all of us have our travel memories, and we don't know when is the next time you're going to travel. It's not going to be anytime soon with the way things are. So why not put together all our travel memories and create a small personal brand just for ourselves? That's what the two gentlemen here are going to give us a gist on. I want to thank them before we begin for taking time today. They both are busy. They have a lot of webinars throughout the day, but still they were graceful enough to agree and accept and be a part of the first webinar by Marketing Exchange India. To start off, I would ask them to talk about their travels and what travel means to them. Mr. Shilov, with you.
See, this topic of what travel means to me is something that I thought about for some time, and it's actually quite hilarious. When you grow up in a middle-class family, middle-class Indian family in the Middle East, and I'm Mallu, so it's the United States of Kerala. Half of our population is in the Middle East anyway. So when you grow up in such a family, you're always overprotected, okay? And you don't get to be away from the family for any extended period of time without being under that umbrella of parents. So for me, travel was freedom. That's where I started off into, okay, I need to just get out of here and go around. As you grow older, your priorities change and you want to go back to family as much as possible. But at that time, I got hooked onto travel because I wanted to get away from everything and get free of everything. And the best part of it is my other interests kind of hooked on to the travel part. So I bike a lot, and I was very interested in biking, and biking and travel go together. And if you see in terms of videography or photography, those interests came up because I wanted to capture the travel part. And then they became a big part of my life because I got so interested into that. So travel kind of formed the structure for all of these interests to fit into, and the other interests that I'm known for. I've traveled across India mostly on work. I've traveled across pretty much all the states except the Middle East. Except the northeastern states. And I've traveled across Southeast Asia, Thailand, Hong Kong, up to Korea. I've traveled across Europe, UK, France, Germany, Austria, Hungary, Czech Republic, Italy, and the Vatican. The Vatican is actually one tiny country, so I just plugged it in over there. Last of my travels were to Canada and Japan. And hopefully I'm planning to go to the US once all this COVID stuff is over, and maybe do a biking trip across Iceland. Pranay, I want to ask, what does travel mean to you? Does it reflect the same principles of freedom?
I mean, it's really funny right now listening to you about how coming up with the idea of family and how it was embracing freedom back then. But I think the South Indian philosophy and value doesn't change. It doesn't matter if you shift states or if we shift languages. For in a simple term, if I want to explain what travel means to me, it can be obviously saying venturing into new territories, or for looking out for new landscapes and such or such. But I'm a little bit more like a spiritual, philosophical kind of a guy because of my thought for contents and other things. So I would always say like I'm interested in more about the culture, the tradition, the people, and understanding. And coming, if I have to share my thought, it's like I believe more in journey rather than the destination where I want to be. I take up things and understand things from there, and it is more like I just read to understand things, but there's a process of seeking for me. So travels gives me that option. If you ask most of the people now at this age, and you want to understand from them, there's like, why do you travel? They would say it is an escape from reality, and taking away things and shoving out the normal life. I would rather say travel gives you an opportunity to embrace the other part of reality, how other people live in other aspects of life, and what the nature has to offer from wherever we come from or wherever they come from. And I try to merge the two worlds and understand where we stand. That's what travel gives me. It's a more like a very spiritual and philosophical explanation, but yeah, that's how it helps me in my life. Himakshi,
Himakshi,
you're not audible.
Uh, Thank you so much, both of you. Shilov, you want to add something?
no, it's two different philosophies of travel. Yeah, for me,
Yes.
it is about while I do learn and I do travel to different places. Like I said, if I'm looking at my personal brand of photography that I bring to this, it is that capturing part that interests me. So I travel to capture. He travels for the spiritual part of it. So it's two different philosophies. It's interesting. And everybody will have their own reason for traveling. I don't think
Yeah.
between the two of us, we might have different views, and every person watching on this webinar will have a different view of why they travel. So that's personal, very personal.
But I think the best thing is that the two of you do have like two different views, which actually could relate, it's on two ends of the scale. So people can be moving to either of them.
Don't forget the common motto of freedom from the.
Freedom.
Yes, the nice one. Embracing freedom is
Yeah,
ultimately the motive, and I think that would be with most Indian kids.
quite
Travel,
probably.
starting off with the school trips where you get to go when your parents are not around.
But there is a certain different feeling of what he's saying as being the South Indian middle class family where you come from.
Yeah.
This feeling is very emotional to us growing up.
Yeah.
Okay, how do you guys plan for your travels? You
So this is, I see, there are times when I've just packed up my bag, got onto my bike and just ridden off. Okay. And no plans. There's one time when I told my boss that I just need 15 days off. He said, okay. And the next day I went to Chandigarh, hired a bike and rode around the usual biker mecca of Leh, Ladakh, that full entire route. But for planned travel, when I plan travel, usually when I do international trips, because then you don't have too much of leeway to uh, mess up things. So then I have kind of a little more structured approach when how I plan. Starting with, of course, when I select the location and I decide how much money I can spend. And trust me, no matter how much of the budget that you put, you will always exceed your budget. Just be aware of that. Whatever budget you put, you will end up exceeding that budget. One thing I've realized is I always, after a lot of experimentation, I realized it's always better to stay in the center of whatever city you're traveling to, as in the most accessible location. Now, I know a lot of people differ in this. A lot of people say you should stay somewhere outskirts and you should travel into the city as you like. I think if you travel in the city, you're minimizing your travel time, you're saving on travel costs, you're like, just all the facilities are nearby, and you have more time to explore the city itself. And I always plan to stay at least 4 to 5 days in each city, so that at least, so I get to explore the city on my own terms. The other thing is, of course, don't plan too much. You will get a lot of time to go through YouTube videos and all these travel sites. The more you do, the less you have in terms of exploring. Yes, do plan, select a few sites, and I would say keep around 50% of your time for actual places that it's on your list, and the rest of the time to just explore the city so that you understand what that city is about. One of the things I usually do is I'll check Airbnb, VRBO, all the sites to see what are the best deals and closest to the center of town, like I said. And especially when you travel with family, your travel costs and all the other facilities that are needed, it's so much better if you stay in the center of town. If you're talking transportation, ideally, especially if you travel to the more developed countries, you should understand that transportation, public transport is good, but if you have to take a cab or something, the cost is way too much. That's another reason why center of city is so much better to stay in, because you can just walk around and plan for a lot of walking, because that's the best way to explore most of these cities. I also, one thing I've got into a habit of, and this is because of my son, he has a lot of interest in history and learning about places. So we take at least one guided walking tour. One of the days that we plan in a city is always about one guided walking tour with a local. And that helps you understand, because the local guided walking tours, they give their own perspective of a city. And while most people would say this planned tour is not such a great thing, I think adding that into your itinerary once you have 4 or 5 days to spend over there helps you in getting a little more perspective and little more knowledge about the local aspects. I always ask, if I'm staying in an Airbnb, I'll always ask my host for places where the locals hang out and places where the locals eat, so that I visit those places. That gives you an actual local flavor. And talking of flavor, I'm also a foodie, so I always like to explore in terms of food. And sometimes it's not such a great idea because some things don't really agree with you. But mostly it is a nice way to understand the city, what people eat, what are the things that are part of their daily food, rather than only the things that are highlighted in your top 10 things to eat, versus that if you're eating what the locals eat, you know how they actually eat and drink. Um, like I said, okay, a few tips. One is download a Google Maps map of the place, download it on your phone, and upload your main destinations into that. So the download part is mainly because if you go offline, then you're still access to all of this. You have access to GPS, so you know where you are. You don't need to use your phone data. And there was one thing I learned when I was traveling in Thailand. I think I did not have a roaming pack, and I opened my regular data. I had international roaming. I did not have a special pack for that country, and I opened my data and I checked where I was just once. Okay, 10 minutes. It cost me $40,000 when I came back in phone.
Wow.
From then on, I make it a point to buy a pack for the country, buy a data pack for the country that I'm traveling in, or buy a local SIM card. That is so important. In case that is, of course, in case you want to be reachable, in case you want to have access to media. Some people want to stay away from their phones throughout the times that they're there, and then for them, the phone just becomes a camera most of the time. And one thing I've tried to do, I've not always been successful in this, is try one new experience in each of the places that I'm going to, whether it is driving a go-kart on the main roads in the city in Vienna, I think I did that, or learning to ski in Pangong for the first time in my life. That's probably the first time I interacted with snow as such, but I decided I want to learn to ski over there, or going bungee jumping in Thailand randomly, or going to a shooting range. Any of these things, I'd like to try one thing that I will not get when I come back home. So that's an important thing to me. And of course, the main thing is always stay safe and be alert. You are traveling in a strange place, so just be aware of your surroundings. You don't have to be always looking out, oh shit, somebody's going to steal my stuff. No, but be alert and play around within your limits. Pranay, over to you.
It's a very descriptive way of how you put it up, but I come across in a very different manner because of the budget constraints that I travel through. I mean, okay, as you mentioned it first, I would never go for the city center. It's completely a no-go for me in terms of what do I do and where do I go in cities, because I go for offbeat destinations, so it's never a concern.
And you should also mention that you travel solo.
I mean, yeah, that's just, I mean, I don't mind a company. I mean, but my reason to travel at times or go solo is the kind of traveling that I do. You don't find that kind of like-minded people in terms of having that. I'm pretty rugged and I'm okay to improvise on the way. And I'm totally okay with that. But you being the biker side of it, you can accept that from your end, but not everybody is ready to embrace that aspect of, improvising on the way or, ready
So
to accept
this,
the local.
yeah, this particular point, especially traveling offbeat when you're traveling with family, I'll tell you an interesting anecdote. I was in Italy last year. I was in Monte Pertuso, which is up on a hill from Positano. Okay, Positano is down on the beach, and Monte Pertuso is one
Yeah, yeah.
village with some around 10, 15 houses so up on the hill. And you miss a bus over there to go down to Positano, you have to wait 45 minutes. I sat there with family. We waited for a bus which came after 45 minutes and it was full, so they didn't take us, and we had to wait another 45 minutes. So we decided to walk down. It took us 2 hours to walk down, and it was horrible. That's when I realized the value of staying in town when you're traveling with family. So yeah, I get there are two different viewpoints over there when you're traveling alone versus traveling with family.
I mean, yeah, more of while I'm trying to travel, yeah, it's more of a comfort level to me, not create hindrance for others who want to travel. I mean, it's not necessary we think on the same lines.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
when we're talking about planning my travel, I would obviously jot down one place, rather have two places as I'm more of budget traveling. I'll always create depending on how the flight is working or how the expenses are going around and all those aspects in life. Then obviously straight down a budget straight away through all the reading through Googles that I get. I don't do too much research on a place because the moment you try thinking or reading too much about it, the place loses its shine or value.
yeah.
Too many people giving too many inputs, and human mind is such that you'll always go to the negative aspect of it more than the positive aspect of it, and your hopes will be much more lower before when you see that place or expect it. So that is the another aspect that I go through. Then what I mostly rely upon in my travels is an understanding from the local guys. I really like to interact with locals and ask them moreover to tell me what is more good about it. Obviously, when I am a foodie, so food is on the priority. Moment I land, okay, tell me what is the best thing to eat. But beyond that, okay, which is the place that we can go through, or how do I travel, or what do you think is the best convenient way to do it? Though I've done my research, but it is always you have to find the touch points and find the right people to take a what do you call inputs from them. How do you travel? Like for example, I had a very interesting experience in Indonesia. There was this place called the Green Canyon that I wanted to visit. It's an amazingly beautiful place, has its own waterfall. You're allowed to swim in the green waters, yeah, whatever. But traveling to that point through locally is madness. It is right at the edge of center of Indonesia, but right at the bottom. I don't know how to put it in direction. Also, it's so difficult to put. And there was no other way to reach it. I wasted my about 1.5 days just to reach that place. It was worth it. In the night when we reached over there, the hostels that we booked or whatever I booked, she refused to get us in because I had reached at 1 o'clock. And me, while traveling, my phone is off. I depend on more local. There is nobody over there. The kind of effort it took me convincing her to just say, okay, I'm nobody. I'm with my, I don't know why people have a perception toward beards as well. So with the weird thing, she was going, crazy about it. So these are the experiences that I build upon, understanding, gaining trust of people. And this is where I locally improvise. Next morning, she was the one who woke me up and she explained where I need to go and how do I need to go. So that is the kind of I'm talking about while I said experiencing travel through me. So there's also a very important part of my travel plans wherein I try to gain more experience from the local and understand things more from them, and that becomes a part of my travel plan. Also, a tip from me for others is not to believe or not to see things how they are. What's there online? Things are not always rosy. Things are not always photo perfect. Things are not. So always go with a moderate expectation, but don't go with no hopes, but with a moderate expectation of where you want to go. But do not believe what is there online. Sometimes things turn out to be really beautiful how they are not supposed to be. And how do I put it up? Let's say if people, I talk about Paris, people only think about Eiffel Tower, which is absurdly stupid. I mean, there are a lot of other things to watch out over there across France, across Paris. You need to go and figure out things locally. I mean, language becomes a barrier, but you will find somebody who will explain it to you where you need to go and what are the things that you see and eat. So this becomes a very interesting aspect for me when I talk about planning my travel. So first is always the place, then the it's a solo travel most of the time, and obviously the place that I want to do. And the end of the thing is I create an itinerary in terms of a trail map. So whatever I generally do in all my travels is I never fly back from the place that I land. So it can be two different airports. So that helps me cover the whole geographical region and then fly from a different airport back. So I create a whole roadmap and considering the main stretches of the road, and around that I try to create all the places that I need to go. I mean, a little bit of deviation by an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, and depends on that how many days I have. Now this is for a longer travel. For a shorter travel across 2 or 3 days, there is no planning. Just take your bag, just go, live your life. There is nothing, no expertise out there, because you're going to anyways exhaust your budget if it's about 3 or 4 days of traveling. I don't think so. There's an expertise required. The too much of planning will kill your joy. It's about living through that moment in time, but ensure that you know where you're going at least. It's not supposed to be just take a bag and leave. I don't know where I'm going. So yeah, that's about me when it comes to traveling.
I've done that bit, take your bag and leave also, but not of late.
Yeah. I
Another
think
thing
I think age is a bit catching up to you. Sorry for that
age
below
one shot you get.
Yeah.
One thing I like to do is wherever I go, I wake up very early. As a habit, I wake up very early. So I go out for a walk with my camera very early before the city wakes up. And that helps him capture a lot of images without, like for me, I love architecture photography. So for me, for that specific aspect, that morning walk is my standard go-to travel tip for everyone. Just go for a walk and you'll see the city in a very different light.
I mean, yeah, I agree on that.
If
I'm
you wake
also
up
an early
early.
riser. Yeah, I'm also an early riser in terms of when I'm traveling. But yeah, I agree on that. It's like uh, early morning is a bliss. If you're in a little touristy place, I think as soon as turns around 8 or 9, wherever
Yeah,
you
then
are, it becomes chaotic because you are obviously in a touristy place, and unless you're completely gone offbeat, there is nobody to disturb you. But yeah, this is one of the good things. You need to get up early and experience the place from there.
I think I love the point on go karting in Vienna and bungee jumping in Thailand. Also the
Oh,
skiing in Pangong. Also, I loved your Green Valley thing and you and people being scared of your beard. You tend to do that. But
there's a very interesting thing that I would like to share. Not many people know it. You talk about bungee jumping. I go hiking. I believe I've gone a good amount of hiking. I'm what do you call it? I'm absolutely petrified of heights. I don't know why do I go hiking. I reached to a point wherein I don't want to go anymore on top, but somehow I have the will to. It's every time I have not overcome that fear, but it's a very interesting aspect what travel pushes me to do and why I want to reach there. So it's one of the interesting things that I'm absolutely petrified of heights. Believe me, the mountain right now behind you is freaking me out, but yeah, I do it. I wouldn't mind going up there and doing it.
then I want to know one of the important points is how do you guys love to capture your travel? Because we had gone through your Instagram pages and you guys have made sure that you capture your travel beautifully and put it out even more beautifully. So one is why do you capture the travel? If, there are two reasons. See, most women capture it to show it off to their friends, but I think men have better reasons. It could be
that
anything
is
ranging from
sexist. I don't agree at all.
I mean, coming from a woman is no
Yeah.
really difficult.
I'm one of the people who just never takes enough photographs, and those that I tend to take them more to make everybody jealous. But that's like one side of the story. But I know a lot of travelers, including you guys, have been doing some great job capturing beautiful sites, putting them out for people to check out, and also giving great tips and advice. So, how do you guys do this capturing process? Why do you do it? What's your mantra behind the entire capturing process and putting it out on the right platforms?
I'll go ahead with this question once. So for me, I'll be honest. I've never been a social media buff. Say about a year or two back. I've never been. I like social media. I've been there, or I mean, I started embracing it, yes, but never been too much into it. But the moment I started traveling, the idea of capturing was for me. I mean, I'm more of, as I told you, I'm more of a seeker, a philosophical kind of. I try to embrace it in my head when it comes to travel and understanding of things. In terms of capturing, I never go for that perfect shot or maybe the perfect vlog. Never. That's never been my. Whatever is there, I go completely unfiltered, completely raw, organic. Whatever I can see, I'm going to put it up there. It's never going to be uh, trying to fancy it out. I mean, people have their own view. That's fine, but that's me being completely organic and unfiltered. Now, in terms of how do I want to capture it, completely static, no videos, nothing for me. And I try to imagine and embrace what is there and right in front of me to understand what is giving to me. That is my idea of capturing that place. Also, I have a little vivid imagination when it comes to a place. I want to be in that place and imagine how it looks in different surroundings or different seasons across. You can obviously you're not going to come to that place every time across different seasons. So this is how I try to capture myself, and only a static image of that, one or two images of that what I have of that place. Now, when it comes to why do I do it, uh, I how do I say it? It's a very when I started off with Instagram, I wanted to just say that okay, I am traveling and this is the places I want to be. But I didn't want to look like a somebody who's trying to portray something, beautifying something else, like all the other travel pages that we have. I wanted to show a very different kind of aspect into it. And I wanted to show that there is not only like you go to Mumbai, there is just not, you just don't go visit Marine Drive or just don't see a gateway of India. I mean, there's a lot more to see in terms of what is there. Just don't depend on Google or the first thing that clicks or the first five-star thing that comes on your page. Explore it, go for it, think about it, mingle with the locals, see what is good to see. There's always unexpected something that the place has to offer. It can be a small food joint or it can be the local night culture over there that gives you a lot of aspect in terms of that. And this is what I'm trying to capture. It can be funny sometimes, it can be saddening sometimes, it can be related to a creature, it can be related to any kind of species that I want to put over there. So that has been the base of why I capture it and why I use uh, Instagram is to send out a message. Yeah, there are a lot more to the places that you just see. You have to explore it more on your way rather than believe and see and create a tour packages or whatever is there to offer. So, Shilov, you come up. I mean, I would take a bit of time to understand how to travel with family and everybody along. I mean, your idea of capturing and why do you do it? How do we take this?
See, our CEO at the Social Street, Mandeep Malhotra. So I worked with him for 1.5 decades now. From the very beginning, I've noticed a habit of his. So when he would do any travel, any long travel, he would come back, he would sit, he would actually call all of us into his cabin. We'd just sit around together in the cafeteria, and he would take us on a journey of how he traveled. So he would tell us, okay, I did this, this is how I went over to this place, and this is how I experienced the place. He would take us for, and he would describe it in a story format. And that impressed upon me, like, it's a very nice way to, the sharing that knowledge of travel is a very nice way to capture it in your head again. It's kind of cementing that in your head. For me, how do I capture travel is like, it's not one specific thing. For example, I started off writing a blog. I had multiple blogs, and I realized only if you can consistently write, you should do it a word format. If you can't, whatever you can do consistently is the best way, especially on social media. Whatever you can do consistently is the best way to capture your travel. So I had a blog called 40 Cigarettes, which I tried for three years. I wrote, and then I gave it up. Then when I had a biking group called the Odd Bunch, and I used to shoot videos for us, and we used to put it up, and that got a lot of traction. In fact, I stopped doing videos for it, I think 7 years back, but we still get messages on those. Then I discovered photography as a way, and for me, I also realized that you can keep all your photographs in a hard disk and they crash. You can put it on a CD or a DVD and they get scratched. So I use social media like as a hard drive. I put it up, and I like to give importance to each photo that I capture because I like a specific view and I want to share that with people. So each photo that I capture is so important. So I don't like putting it up in one album across and sharing that entire album for people to go through. I like putting it one at a time and putting a little bit of knowledge about that. So it's, for me, it's a personal memory lane that when I go through my social media, it is my views that are captured in my social media, and that is important. Himakshi, you're on mute.
Himakshi, you're on mute.
Please correct me. One was Pranay, you mentioned that you want to remember the place the way you visualized it or the way you perceived it, and
Yes.
that's how you decide to capture it. And Shilov, I love the line create a personal memory lane, and dependability is higher on social media rather on hard disks, computers, and CDs.
And let me put up, it's free.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for the space.
It's absolutely free. And Instagram, and Shilov, you have dabbled through YouTube videos, blogs, as well as photography. And Pranay, you've been sticking to Instagram for quite some time now.
Yeah.
Your, can I have your? Can you guys share your handles, please, with us on the chat, so that everyone can browse on your Instagram?
You want to do it, right?
Yes. Because I'm sure most of them are already browsing Instagram or Facebook as they're listening to the webinar.
I mean, they
might
can
as well
just search for
use-
Paisa Traveler. Wait. I'll just put it on the chat, is it?
Yes, just put it on the chat.
Okay.
So we have Shilov as at Fat Fingers Photography, and we have Pranay as at Paisa Traveler.
One second. I think I just sent it only to Shiloh for some reason.
Yeah, you replied to me actually.
This is a very strange thing today. I'm like younger to him, but he's more technologically adept than me. I feel a little naive today in terms of getting
This
through
goes
that.
to show he's been attending way more webinars and conducting
Yeah,
them.
that's true.
I hope it was that easy. Attending webinars would make our life so simple.
So I have a question for the two of you now, which is more to do with branding. The question to you, Shilov, is about the visual effect. How do you choose to create a visual effect leading to a strong personal branding image? Because you come from an entire marketing, digital strategy background. Apart from your personal experience, even professionally, what do you suggest? How should one go about creating their travel album
Okay.
on social media?
On social media. So for me, the first decision that I had to take was, do I want to use my name to create that, the brand connection of travel with, or do I want to create another brand? And just for fun, I decided to create this brand called Fat Fingers Photography. The main thought behind this is, when I started photography, I was a learning photographer, and when you have fat fingers, it's difficult to press the small buttons on the camera, and you always end up making mistakes and learning. So it is a process of learning that I wanted to bring, because your photography skills always improve over time. So every time you take a photograph, you're learning something new. That's the principle of Fat Fingers Photography, that you'll always be learning and improving. And that's the brand that I brought onto Instagram. As far as creating that brand is, it's all about creating a specific perception in the audience that you're looking at. So you will first decide, okay, what is your tool? What are you good at? If you're good at writing, then you will look at creating a blog. If you're good at videography, you'll look at creating a YouTube channel where you're sharing your videos. And if I decided that over time, I tried everything, and I decided that photography is what's most important to me. And that's why I created the Instagram channel. And recently I created the Facebook page also for the same channel. The other thing is, what is the subject that you want to concentrate on? If you're going to take photos of everything on your phone and put up, you're not actually creating a brand. You're just clicking things with your phone. Do you have a specific subject? For example, for me, what I really loved just looking at, was, like I shared before, architecture, cityscapes, nature, but all wide angle. I love that aspect of, okay, I can see everything around me. So for me, that was a specific set of photographs that I wanted to capture. And that's what I started capturing and putting up over time. The other thing that I did was, I learned photography itself. So if you want to be good at something, you have to keep learning. So I started learning how to use the camera, how to take photographs for one, and also looking at other social media influencers and all who were in the same field to see how they photograph and how they create a brand for themselves. And that's a good tip for anybody who wants to create a brand on social media. You look at other people who are already doing the same stuff, or you look at some of the people who are doing stuff really well, and look at what learnings you can take from them. For example, I don't use the Instagram standard filters. I learned how to edit my photographs in Lightroom. I created my own presets, and those are the only presets I apply to my own photographs. I don't use any generic ones. So overall, if you look at the themes of my photographs, you'll see one standard set of themes, colors, the way it looks across. The other thing is join a few groups. I joined some of the photography groups, some of the for Photoshop and Lightroom groups, just to understand, put out your creatives over there, put out your photographs over there, get feedback from them and learn. You join a few travel groups, some special interest groups, which will help you learn a lot more. And what you learn, you share. The earlier part of what I said about when I'm traveling, I will always take a guided tour. A guided tour as in a guided walking tour across the city. That's for me to learn about the city. So when I'm capturing something, so what I would go on a walking tour, and next day morning I will follow that same trip just by myself with my camera alone early in the morning, and I will capture the right photographs for my Instagram. So that gives me the knowledge to share along with my photographs. So it's not just one visual that I'm putting up. I'm telling people something about that particular image. And that also helps brand you as a traveler versus just a tourist. You are actually imparting knowledge, you're sharing. And that makes you a proper traveler who's sharing things on social media. That's very important to me. The other thing is understand that you'll always evolve. My photographs from 2 years back is not the same kind of photographs that I'll be putting up now. So this, especially on social media, you're always an evolving brand. And for that, you just need to stay true to what you like, and that brand will form itself. You don't need to publicize yourself. Pranay, I'm sure you have a different point of view on this.
I mean, I'm more of a content-based guy than the photography-based guy, because that's photography is something that it is an essential to show off in terms of where you've been. But I think I play more on the contents and well on that part of it. So when it comes to what I wanted to, I started off with Paisa Travel. The whole name itself tells you it's about budget traveling. And I like the point that you touched. You said there's a difference between a traveler and a tourist. I mean, that's one of the important aspects. People need to weigh in which category they want to go in. Both are fine. It's up to them how they want to. It's a choice what they need to take up. So when I'm talking about Paisa travel, it's obviously budget traveling, but offbeat traveling and offbeat places. This is what I wanted to do and wanted to put it over there and tell people to go more for it. I mean, I'm insanely tired of seeing people. Let's talk about I don't know, whichever country you say. There's the first thing that comes to their head is where they want to go, and if you actually visit that places, they are not so happening anymore. For example, in India, I've been hopping, like people come for Taj, and I'm more of a person who's telling go to Hampi. Hampi is a place, where you seek. It's a lot more to offer, and this is what I wanted to. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better.
Yes, now it's better.
Is it better? Okay, so I like how the Hampi, the place is getting its more recognition right now, and this is what I wanted to do across my whole diaries. And in terms of the content, now, thankfully, I don't know, my minuscule brain has been blessed to think a little bit with words and play around with. So I am able to put what I think and what I imagine into words and put it across. But what I've learned through my experience is at the current time, because of the amount of travel pages and amount of traveling things and there's everybody wants to put in things over there, you cannot put a content too small, you cannot put a content too large. It needs to be precise enough for them to scroll through, have about 10 to 12 seconds maybe the capture lead time that they have in a head, and put it across maybe in a simple terms or in a complex way of poems or lines or however you want to put it up. And also always cross check the facts what you put across. Never, please, that's a humble request. Always cross check your facts 100 times before placing it across anywhere on social media. We're already dealing with a lot of fake issues and fake numbers and everything. So make your research good enough wherever you're putting, or even if you've gone there and you know the numbers, ensure you cross check it once, because things keep changing. You're in a world which is full of turbulence and it keeps changing every minute. So always cross check your facts and whatever content you put on in. And also, I've seen, I call this a lot of showcasing in terms of people using a lot of other people's content to describe it. I mean, stick to original. It doesn't matter. You can't, everybody can't be a Rumi or Gibran to explain things. Stick to your content, explain it in the most simplest of manner, get the facts right, get the content right. People will obviously like it if you speak it more what is through coming from you rather than what you want to showcase. So yeah, that is part of me when I talk about content. And in terms of branding, I mean, it's when I talk about Pranay, I would never want Pranay to be a brand. I mean, it obviously I don't want to dwell on that aspect. So there was always an alter ego called the Paisa Traveler, which came into my head. I wanted to use it as a brand and a concept more often. And I'm trying to push the concept. It's a old sales tool that you call it. I mean, I'm trying to push the concept more than selling the concept. I mean, I'm trying to push people to accept it rather than, this is the right thing to do. No, this is not the right thing to do. This is what I am. And this is what, if people of the same community or a herd that I call it can come together and understand this aspect, yeah, we have a talk. And most of the people that I see right now, the interested people, they go through the content, see the images, and they sent in a private text, because I do not put everything that's there out there about the content and text on the main body itself. So I let people get intrigued and they should be messaging me, or I'm okay to respond to them. So yeah, that's been working fine as of now. So let's see, adding much more things, understanding. And yeah, I think I need to embrace technology on the way.
Constantly evolving.
Yeah, we have to. Yeah.
Shilov, have you been getting inquiries and questions from your followers and others? Do you get these questions on your direct message or on your comments?
I get questions about the specific images that I put up.
Okay.
Quite often.
Okay, and I think that's what is required in end of the day in terms of engagement. As long as your followers are engaging with you directly. Okay. So
Himakshi, I would just like to say, like, he is catering to a different base, I must say. I mean, he is catering to more of the photographers' base in terms of, they would be interested looking at his image. Some of them can obviously gauge, if I'm not wrong, Shilo, they're trying to gauge what filters you must have used or how you must have clicked.
yes.
I
A
mean,
lot of the
yeah,
questions are on travel, a lot of the questions are on photography.
exactly. And where I come from, my questions are very simple in terms of how did you reach? What is this place all about? How did you come to know? I know that is the kind of person. So we are dealing with two different aspects, but yeah, it's in a own different way, unique in their own manner.
I have a question, Shilov. We have two other questions, but before that, I have one question to you. You spoke about you attending a lot of classes, courses to improvise the way you've been capturing photographs. Could you suggest or recommend some such courses or websites that people could check out?
So I'll tell you what, you go to a Coursera and Udemy, you'll find a lot of courses on Photoshop, Lightroom. These are the ones that will easily help you edit your photographs and create your own specific look. That's my go-to for that. Yeah.
Okay.
And other than that, like I said, if you're on any of the Facebook groups for these photography or travel, you will get a lot of information. You will get a lot of ideas. You will get a lot of places to go to, and you will get a lot of places to capture the best views from.
Okay.
Like the other thing is, I think just learn on while you're traveling, because like I think both of us have mentioned the fact that we speak to locals and try and get points to go to. In Monteperto, so my Airbnb host told me, I was like looking at the mountain right next to where I was staying, and I asked him, is there a way to get up? He said, yeah, you can actually climb up, and there's a hole in the mountain from which you can see Positano and the other side of the coast. So early morning, I didn't know how high it was, but I took my camera bag and my tripod and all, and I started walking. It took me an hour to climb up there, but because it was all steps and no steps half the way, and it was a crazy climb. And half of the time, I think I used my tripod as my walking stick to help me get up there. But somehow I reached over there, and it was so bloody rewarding. I mean, to sit over there, I didn't feel like taking a single photo at that time. When I just reached over there, I was just looking at both sides. I was sitting in the middle of, it's like the eye of the needle. So I was actually sitting in the middle of that, and I was looking at both coastlines around me, and that it is just such an amazing place. So that, I think the locals are your best source of knowledge for travel. I don't think you can beat that.
Okay.
They'll tell you the most offbeat places to go to.
Thank you so much. Before I proceed to, bring back the points and highlight whatever you've discussed, there are two questions. One question is to you, Pranay, by Mohit. His question is, which was the last place that you traveled?
Internationally was Bulgaria, and domestically was Goa.
It was?
Goa.
Goa. Okay. And Shilov, the same question has come for you as well.
I think my last international travel was Japan, and that is just before this COVID issue happened.
Just before COVID, yes.
Yeah. And domestic, I think it would have been Kerala, most likely.
Okay.
Mohit, I did not go to Goa to drink.
The other question is, I am not sure who is this anonymous attendee, but yes, which is the best time to travel during the year? And I think the question is more, which is the best time to travel during the year internationally and during the year in India?
I don't think there is a time like that. You should travel anytime, because every time you go to a place in a different time. I mean, if you go to any place in Europe in Jan versus if you go in, say, July, it's very different. The experiences that you get will be very different. I would say go in every season to see what the place is like, but obviously most of us don't have the money to do that. But ideally, try a non-touristy time. Don't look at the peak time. Just avoid that. Like, it is horrible to travel to a place during the main touristy time, and you might not see all the attractions that tourists are generally exposed to, but you'll get more of a local flavor by traveling in a non-touristy time. That's the only advice I can give on that.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to quickly conclude with whatever the two of you shared. A couple of points regarding branding and how can one really present themselves on social media. One is what I understood from Shilo, that walking tours are worth it. We should take them to learn first as a tourist and then explore them further as travelers, because we can choose the best places to capture. Once you've had a quick guided tour, you have better idea about what the places and which are the places that you can capture. Important points that you mentioned about capturing the material is you need to understand your perception. One needs to build their own perception and the way they want to be perceived on social media while they're capturing this. And Pranay, you have been talking about focusing on content, and being PESA traveler, your focus has been talking about budget traveling and offbeat traveling. Correct. And you keep getting questions on that with your photographs as to how you've been doing it, and you focus on content and building the story around the image.
Yeah.
And so basically both of you have a very different approach to building the brands, but ultimately you have created a brand. And thank you so much for being a part here, and you've been engaging with a lot of people. I'm one of them that has been engaging with Pranay to get a lot of tips on where to travel, how to travel. And yes, one of the important points which Pranay mentioned rightly is not all the hyped up places are the best places to go to. And I also like the point of, exploring through a walking tour, and then the next day in the morning you go with your camera. And of course the tip on go talk to the locals. So I think in conclusion, when we talk of personal branding, which is I think the in thing right now, why is it the in thing? Everybody's sitting at home. When I say everybody, most corporates are sitting at home and we want to do something. A lot of us want to do some freelancing work. A lot of us want to explore other means of survival, if I may. And I think building a personal brand is one of the best ways. I think we're all missing our travel days, and hope that the market opens up soon. Hope that traveling opens up soon, the vaccination comes up soon. and we can again go back to traveling. But yes, I think travel is not a dead industry. Tourism is not going to be a dead industry. Maybe it'll come back in a better manner, and that was the reason we wanted to start off on a positive note with traveling and personal branding. And thank you so much, both of you, again for the lovely tips. We have recorded this video, and we will be posting it live on our Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, as well as LinkedIn. So we'll also share the links with all of you. And anybody having any questions, now you can please start following Pesa at the rate Pesa Traveler and at the rate Fat Fingers Photographer, so that you guys can connect with them directly to solve any queries on traveling photography content. I hope that's okay with the two of you.
I think that was the idea behind this, to do this.
Thank you again, and thank you to all the lovely attendees and participants for being a part of our first time initiative. And thank you to our partners. Ankush, can you just quickly run our partner slide? We've got some immense support from our partners and colleagues from the industry. And a special thanks to the Social Street team, Fahad and Shilov. They've been so kind. They've joined us at a time when, we just happened to call them. And of course, a big thank you to Pranay, who is one of...
There is one question from someone which I would like to answer. Okay.
Yes, please.
Somebody's asked how to manage the luggage, especially when you're with family. Trust me, this is a huge problem for most of us every single time.
Yes.
Usually start light is the best advice I can give you. Start light, because no matter what, when you're traveling with family, towards the end, you will be, and especially some of the places that you go to, if there is no elevator and your room is on the 3rd floor, you are going to break your back. So start off as light as you can, because by the end of the trip, you will have multiple pieces of luggage, which mostly 1 or 2 members of the family will be carrying all through. So yeah, that's the only advice I can give you. Start very light, as light as you can.
I mean, I go back with a rucksack, so I don't know. I got light. I can't go anything heavier. But yeah, there was a very interesting thing that happened when traveling to Europe. It was a business come. I was trying to balance 2 kind of trips over there. So yeah, I had a bag. I had a rucksack as well. Now the important thing is how to carry this around. Thankfully, most of the stations had this locker facilities. I mean, that was very interesting thing across whichever stations I went. You could just put it in over there, dump in, put in about 1 or 2 euros as per the size of your bag, and it's locked in for 24 hours. And till the time you don't take it out, the meter keeps running. So there are things you just need to figure out how you're going to manage it. But there is no solution to a luggage, especially if you're traveling with a family like Shiloh is. There is no solution to that. You have to go with that.
There's another question from Fahad. Which are the places that you guys want to travel post lockdown?
I think, Shiloh, I asked you just before we were going live.
Yes.
Yeah. I plan to go to US and hopefully Iceland for a biking trip after that. So US has been on my map.
On my radar, it's more of Philippines and Turkey. I'm just going at 2 extremes from the other ends. So yeah, those are the 2 places that's been on my agenda.
And thank you again. Any other questions? Have I missed any questions? Sorry, I did miss a question that time. I guess no more questions. Ankush, can you just put the next event slide so that everyone can see it? We have our next event happening on the 13th of June at 5 o'clock. We have Mr. Vineet Rajan and we have Archana and Vidur, the travel bloggers from Travel My Nation. The topic will be leadership lessons that traveling can teach you. So I hope that you guys can join us, and I hope everybody else who's joined in today can join us, both on our live Facebook as well as on Zoom. And again, thank you everybody. Thank you Afix Center. Thank you Fair Act. Thank you ISA. Thank you IEIA for all the support. And thank the 2 of you. And yes, a special thanks to Fahad. Ankush told me, don't you forget Fahad and Shiloh. I said, no, I won't forget them. Thank you guys. And again, thank you Pranay.
Thank you so much. You assembled us our complete South Indian cast right now. So yeah, we did a part.
Yeah, that was was completely unintentional.
No, that's totally fine. I mean, we just get along, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So thanks everybody for joining in. I think it's what initiative you've taken is absolutely brilliant. I mean, the next subject looks very interesting. I mean, gives me a totally different perspective of traveling now. I'm already starting to think what it sounds like. So yeah, guys, join in for the next sessions. Maybe we'll also join in. Thank you so much, Sonakshi.
Thank you, Pranay.
Cheers,
Thank
people.
you, Shilok.
Yes,
See you
yes,
soon.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.